All right, guys, welcome back to the Adoptology Podcast. Today I have a special guest, and you won't believe who it is. It is Ronnie from the Fire Pit Conversation, older brother of Aaron, and he's here to tell his side of his story. Aaron is you newly found out you were adopted about like 5 years ago, right? And you and Aaron met up
Yep.
after the interesting situation, and now you guys get because Aaron earlier this morning talked about, well, now it's been a week for y'all, but like this morning, Aaron talked about your story and how y'all got together and how he did the ancestry thing, and then he met y'all two that way. And I think it's really cool how that is. And we're here to get Ronnie's side of the story, as he didn't know that he was adopted for like Aaron did his whole life. So Ronnie, are you ready to get into this and let the people know
I'm
you?
ready, man. I'm
Before
ready.
That's awesome. Before we get started, like, how you doing today, brother? How's work? How's life?
Oh, man, listen, work is work and life is life. I'm good. Actually, this past weekend, me and Aaron got to hang out for the day. So listen, I'm excited. Work, I think I told you before, I work in the school system. So I work with high schoolers. I absolutely love my job and what I do. So just guiding them into their next phase of life. So everything's good, man. How about you?
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Over here is going great. I'm learning new things, doing new things at school. My grades are good at school. Classes are great. Friends are great. Relationships are good. Always growing and learning over here. I'm learning. I'm putting myself in places I thought I would never put myself in my life, and I'm learning how to navigate to all of that. And that's just great doing at this. Especially this week, I'm gonna turn 22 this week, and I'm doing everything I should have done when I turned 21 this week. And it's just a whole thing.
Listen, do all the things, but be safe.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me.
Be
I've learned my lesson.
okay.
I've learned my
Okay.
lesson, and we're moving way smarter now, and we're doing all great. Okay, so
Good. Well,
let's get into it. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, your brother Aaron did the interesting thing. That's how y'all found each other. So we're gonna talk about life before the test. Okay, so growing
okay.
up in Akron, is that how you say it, right? Or is it Akron?
Akron. Yep.
Akron. Perfect. What was your childhood like? Who did you think you were before all of this interesting stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So I grew up the last of 7 kids. Yeah. So there's 7 of us in total. And I grew up the baby of the 7, but I was the only child of my dad. So my mom had her first marriage. She had her children before she met my dad. And then she met my dad. They got married. They were together for about 10 years before they decided that they wanted a kid. So there's a huge age gap between me and my next sibling.
Ooh,
Huge. Like 21 years between me and my next sibling.
that is insane.
So my nieces and nephews grew up more like my siblings. So we are very close in age. I have a niece that's 6 years older than me. I have a nephew that's 2 months younger than me. So it's like we're closer. And so I grew up like this weird dynamic, kind of like an only child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm my dad's only kid. I'm my mom's youngest. But I have all these brothers and sisters and all these nieces and nephews, but like I've never lived in the same house with my brothers and sisters. I only lived with, I lived with my nephew, one of my nephews. My sister passed away when we were 5 and 6 years old. So my mom raised him. And then I had other nieces and nephews that kind of just came in and out the house. But I had an amazing childhood. My parents were older when they quote unquote had me, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were in their mid 40s.
Oh
So
gosh.
I really felt like I got the best version of my parents. I got these mature, older, grounded people who had nothing but love to give, but also they were old school. So like I have a lot of old school values. I have a lot of kind of like that tough love kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
But my parents are amazing. They're just the way I was raised. I always say like they are people who should teach people how to raise kids.
Yeah, hey, trust me, I be thinking the same thing about my parents too. But seeing how
Yeah.
other kids are and how I was raised, I'm like, they need some assistance. So I can get that. That's so awesome that you said that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So like, okay, so now we got the before the test, the life you had before the test. So let's ask, were there any clues looking back after the test, or was the
Mhm.
adoption a complete shock to you?
So there were besides like the obvious, like my parents are older and my siblings are a lot older. Besides that, that to
Mhm.
me felt very normal because again, that's just how I grew up. But there were two incidents in life that happened before the test that kind of gave a question mark. So the first one, I was a teenager. I was probably like 14 or 15 years old. And I met my mom's sister for the first time. They had had a falling out years and years and years before that. So I never met her. And the first time I met her, she says she was staying at our house. And she tells me one morning, I'm in the kitchen. She goes, "When are you going to find your real family?" I said, "Huh?" And she's like, "When are you going to find your real family?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "You come from good stock." And that's like some country saying like your family is a good quality family, right? So she's like, "You come from good stock.
Yeah.
And so you need to find your real family." So I asked my older brother, his name's Thomas. I said, "Thomas, Aunt Toy said this." And he was like, "What is she talking about?" I said, "I don't know. That's why I'm asking you." So that was one thing. And then fast forward in my early 20s, I moved to South Carolina to go to school and I went back home to Ohio for the weekends. And I was staying, me and my partner were staying at my godmom's house. And my godmom tells my partner when they're just the two of them alone, she says, "Ronnie's adopted."
Wow.
And right. So she tells that to him. She didn't tell me. She was before that, we were eating dinner, she was telling me about a story about a woman who adopted a child and wrote a letter for the child to find after the woman dies, and it was like kinda like a
A movie.
Lifetime story,
Oh, yeah, that's what I said,
right?
like,
Something crazy.
that
I was just
that's
like,
insane.
"That's weird." I said, "Why wouldn't the woman just tell the child or whatever?" And when I
Mm,
got up to use the restroom, she told my partner, she was like, "Hey, that story was about him." And so
yeah.
he's feeling all conflicted, like, "Dang, do I say something? Do I not? Do we even know this is true?" So he told me, and I was just like, "Yeah, my aunt told me something similar years ago, but whatever. If it is, it is. It's not, it's not." So the adoption wasn't like a flat out shock. Like it wasn't like the first time hearing it. But when I talk to a lot of other adoptees,
Mhm.
there's always something that has happened or someone said or whatever. There's always something that kind of pointed to that you were adopted. So I wasn't shocked as I wasn't as shocked as probably some other people because of those two incidents.
Yeah. Wow. That is just wow, okay, yeah, wow, okay. That's like a whole thing right there. It's just I feel like that we should dive into more all of that, but, like, let's move on because 'cause I'm just thinking about that, like, 'cause that at that age, cause like for me, I told your brother earlier this morning, I was like, I don't know, cause me, since I grew up in the adoption process, like, like he did and all of that,
Hmm.
and it would be hard for me to accept that like at this age, about to turn 22, that there's a whole other family out there that I didn't know about after spending how you're like 37, right? 37 years of your life saying this is what is, this is this is what's right now. And then boom, out of nowhere, Aaron comes in, families comes in. It's like, wait, where were you the past 37 years? It's like, I just don't know how y'all do it. I'm like, because that would be a whole surprise after I just set in my ways for that long, you know?
So I am the opposite. I could not imagine growing up knowing I was adopted.
Yeah.
Like I just would feel like I would have always felt like this longing for somebody or looking at like, oh, could that be my mom or could that like I feel like that I feel like for me, I felt like my parents, they stood on business. They said that we taking this to the great. We not gonna say nothing. We gonna treat him like every other child. We gonna raise him in love, and they really kept to that. Like we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep this secret. And then I felt like when I found out, it was a time where I was mature enough to understand. Like I had an understanding of like life and like being an adult or being a teenager and having to make really tough decisions and keeping secrets and stuff like that. So I just kind of like understood it more because I felt like I was mature enough to understand it versus like growing up a child thinking like, well, why doesn't my birth mom, why didn't she love me? And it has less to do about why someone didn't love you. It had more to do with like this decision to hopefully give you a different or better life.
That's real right there, because that's my situation. Because my
Yeah,
parents, yeah, my biological family gave me up so I could have a better life, but still maintain contact with me. So that's why I was like, I wouldn't know. Like, imagine if I
yeah,
didn't have them in my life ever, and I was just an infant, and I was like with my family that I'm at, and it just came like 30 years later.
yeah,
That would take some used to, but I do get what you're saying, because like, you were raised in that environment of just being accepted, and that your family just accepted everybody. So it was easier for you to accept it, that new opportunity, that new life, that new string. So I like that
yeah,
we were both raised to be open minded people, and I think that's the way we are. And it's just a very
yeah.
amazing thing.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so that's awesome. Okay, so why'd you take the test in the first place? Like, cause like, what caused you to do that? Like, what drove you to do that? Curiosity,
So
culture.
it's so funny because Aaron and I, we've talked about this and we talked about it on our podcast. But the truth of the matter is this: people would always say like, "Oh, you're lighter skinned, right?" And
Yeah.
then they would always mention my hair texture. They'd say,
Ooh.
your hair texture is really curly. And so I've had people say, you gotta be mixed, you gotta be Puerto Rican, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. I'm like, no, I'm like, my dad is black, my mom is black, like we're a black family. There's no mixture of anything to our knowledge in anything, or most black people say, I'm mixed with Indian, whatever. Is that so the reason why I took the test was to really find out, like to prove everybody wrong that there wasn't, you know, this what they thought was Italian or Hispanic or this or that. That was why I took it. I'm like, I'm proving that I am 100% African, African American. I am blackity black,
Blackity
and
black.
that was blackity black, and that is what I wanted to prove by taking the ancestry.
That's awesome right there. That's awesome. Because I also spoke to your brothers that I also took an ancestry test too. Because like, I don't know a lot of my bloodline, my medical side of my life, and their medical side, because Haitian doesn't take good documents of it. So that was like
Mhm.
my curiosity is like what I'm from, and I found out I'm like all these ethnicities, and it's really good that we both have different reasons to do it, but we discovered this big stuff. You discovered this humongous thing about your life. And if you didn't
Yeah,
do that, like, you would have never had this connection that you have today. It's just really crazy to think about.
yeah,
That's
really
insane.
crazy.
Okay, so walk us through it. The moment you saw something in those results that didn't add up, what was like your initial reaction? Like, what did you were like, wait,
So I don't know. Well, you said you took ancestry, or did you take like
to
23andMe? Which
23 and me, yeah. I should not have done
okay,
that.
so yeah,
That
shouldn't have
data
done that.
breach. But yes.
So, yeah. So I took Ancestry, and for people who haven't taken it, it's kind of set up similar to like a social media Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has people's pictures on there who've, at least if you've uploaded your profile picture, has people's pictures in there, and then it takes your chromosomes of anybody who has matching or similar chromosomes to you. It takes all of that information and it categorizes people.
Mm.
So when by the time I had taken the test, Aaron had taken the test, our two half sisters had taken the test, our biological mother had taken the test. So on the very first page, when it said like, who are you connected to or who you related to or whatever, it has this picture of this woman and it says it's your biological mother or it's something like your parent or whatever. And then under her, it has this picture of this guy who kind of looks like me, and it says full blooded sibling. And then it has these two pictures of these young ladies that says it could be a aunt, a niece, or a half sibling.
Ooh.
Now, here's the crazy part, Wilson.
Whoa.
The
That's not
craziest part
crazy
is
part? That's not the crazy part?
no, 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 it's not the
Oh,
crazy
okay.
part.
Wait, okay.
It
I'm not
gets
ready then.
crazy.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So I literally took the ancestry test around June of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I got my results back on my third birthday, on
Mm.
my birthday. So a group of us are in Orlando, Florida. It's probably like between 8 and 10 of us. We had rented this beautiful house with a pool and a jacuzzi. We had went jet skiing. And when we left jet skiing, we finished jet skiing, my homegirl who went with us, she got thrown off the jet ski in the lake. And so her wig came off, her shades was off, her jewelry was off. So she was looking like Cleo from Set It Off. All she had was her hair that was braided under the wig. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Well, we gotta get me a wig," because we was going to dinner that night. And so we went to the mall to go to the wig shop. And in the parking lot, I get the email like, "Oh, your ancestry results are in." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I open it up and I see the woman who's my birth mom. I see Aaron and I see my two half sisters. And the first thing I say was like, "This ain't my mom. Like, this not her name. This is not who she is. This ain't her." And then I saw Aaron and I just swiped up and I said, "Yeah, I can't deal with this shit today. I'll deal with it on Monday." And left it alone and didn't tell anybody until
Wow.
we left Florida.
Wow. That that is insane. Like the fact, like the biggest thing, if I'm taking from this, is like the fact that all of y'all hopped on Ancestry.com, like
Yeah,
at that moment of time. And to me, it
yeah,
looks just like divine intervention. You know, it's like,
absolutely.
wow. It's just like,
We
that's
when we
God did
talked
right
about
there.
Yeah, well, so when we talked about the timeline, it was literally like about basically within a year, we had all taken the test.
Yeah.
So our sisters had taken the test first, and then Aaron took the test or something along those lines. And then our birth mom took the test, and then I took the test. So all of this really started 2019, like May-ish 2019. And by August 2020, everything was out and open.
Wow. Okay. That's just insane. Okay. So let's dive into that. So who did you confront first when that Monday came? Okay. Who did you
Okay.
confront first and how did your family respond?
Yeah. So the first person I told was my partner. My birthday and my dad's birthday are 3 days apart. And
Hmm.
so typically we always go out, we just go out to eat and then we kind of alternate who pays for who. And
Yeah.
so we had went out to eat. I screenshot the ancestry results and I
Yeah.
sent to my partner. I said, "I just sent you a text. Don't look at it until we leave." Because we were at the dinner table. I said,
Hmm.
don't look at it until we leave. He said, "Okay." So he gets in the car, he looks at it, and just we rode home in silence because it was just so crazy. And then I had already messaged Aaron because on the Ancestry app you can message people.
Yeah.
So I'd already messaged Aaron, and he kind of explained to me his story. And I had messaged my birth mom, and she had not responded. So then I found her on Facebook, and I messaged her there, and she finally responded. And it took me about a week. So I didn't talk to my parents about it until the that following weekend after my birthday.
Hmm.
And I just told him, I said, "So hey, I got my ancestry results back." Now keep in mind at this time, my parents are almost 80. They're like 70 something at this
Oh
time,
yeah. I
right?
did. Yeah.
Right. So they're like 77, 78. And I'm like, "Hey, I got my results back." And they was like, "Oh, really? What did it say?" And I'm like, "Well, it said I'm this percent this and I'm this percent this. And it says that I have a parent-child relationship with this woman. Who is this?
Who is this? That's real.
Who is this lady?"
Answer some questions. Ooh.
Right. And so my mom says, "Well, Ronnie, we'll sit
Mm.
down and we'll talk about it one day." And I said,
Ooh. One
"Mom, we
day.
are sitting. What do you mean?" And then my dad says, "Well, son, you know they steal babies from the hospital all the time." I said, "Well, Dad, unless y'all stole me from the hospital, that's not what we talking about."
They
And then
trying to
he
play
says, "Well,"
around.
right, he tried, but my dad's a jokester like that.
Yeah.
So then he says, "No, son, we adopted you at 3 days old. And that's just that was that."
Wow. That's just wow. That's just insane. Like I'm glad that we're having this conversation because like it's just the whole perspective that you and your brother are bringing to this space is just wow. It's just
Yeah.
insane
It's really crazy.
from everybody deciding to do their ancestry.com and all of that, and then you confronting the family that you have now first, your partner, your mom and dad before you go. That says a big thing about you because like that change is not only gonna affect you, it's gonna affect them. And it should.
Yeah.
And it's just like the fact that you went back to the roots, at least the roots that you thought the only roots you thought you had. And it
Yeah.
was just like, Wait, is there more roots? Am I supposed to be in a completely different tree? Like,
Well,
explain.
the crazy part is well, not the crazy part, but one of the things is when I saw the parent-child relationship with my birth mom, I still did not think adoption.
Yeah,
I thought, "Oh, my dad must have had an affair, and I was the product of the affair, but my parents decided to raise me, my mom forgave me." Like, that's initially where my mind went, or something like, it was something along those lines. It still wasn't adoption, was not
yeah,
my first mind.
yeah. Like at that point, you were born into that family. It's only 3 days. You know what I'm saying? So like, it would be hard to be like, wait, adopted after thinking 37, 33 years, right? Of saying this was what was what. So like, that is just insane to process, and it's just really cool of your character for being able to be open minded. Because like most people, no matter what point in life, and they get some information like that, it could go left or right.
Mhm.
So like,
Mhm.
it's just being able to like go back to your roots and be like, get some answers first before you take on this new thing is just really cool, and it's just like a whole thing and also that you felt comfortable to do that too is really cool too.
Yeah. But I think it always goes back to, like, your upbringing, right?
Yeah,
Like, my parents just really raised me to be this independent thinker, but who was emotionally intelligent, but who also could hold people and himself accountable. So it was one of those things where, like, I might have been upset with my parents for, like, 2 seconds. Because it
yeah,
was like, you know, y'all coulda just told me, right? But
yeah.
then I was like, let me why would I be mad at 2 people who chose to raise me and who did a good job doing so, and they chose a path. Everybody chooses a path, whether you say, "Imma have an open adoption, Imma have a closed adoption, or Imma lie about the adoption." You choose it, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they said, "This is the story, and we sticking to it, and we gonna
Mm.
keep going." And I
Yeah,
said, "You can't do nothing but
clock it.
respect."
Clock it. That's awesome. Cause like it takes like a really bigger person to try to even like at the moment right now, this is a moment where you're like we're really unsure about everything. And it takes like a really strong-willed person to overlook that and look at their perspective for the past
Yeah.
33 years. You know what I'm saying? And the
Yeah.
stuff they've done for you for the past 33 years, regardless of the family that they did not tell you about. It's just like, it's really hard for most people to really separate from what's been done and what is now. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I think that is so cool. Like you are like a therapist at this school. I know I'm like practically preaching to the choir, but like it is just like it's just like I just think it's really cool just saying that. It's just like just seeing all of that happening. It's just wow. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's definitely been cool. Like I say, I give so much credit to my parents just because of the people that they are. And then even I think one of the best things that has come out of it is because we've been able to start our podcast, my mom came on our podcast. Like
Hmm.
it's such a beautiful episode with my mom. So it's me, my mom, and Aaron on. And it's just amazing. I got to hear her perspective. And I know that there's a ton of people who never get to hear the story, whether it's from their birth family or whether it's from their chosen family. But I got to hear her side and what her thought, and I'm just like, you know what? What is there to be mad about? Shit happens. I wasn't abused. Life's been great.
Wow.
It's cool.
That is very cool. That is very cool because like, well, I know your pod when this everything blows up. I know your pod that episode is gonna get a lot of views. Just like, oh, we want to know more about Aaron and Ronnie. We want to know more about that. So I'm just so excited to see when that time comes. But like, wow,
Yeah,
that's just
man.
amazing that you guys had her on there. Because one day I hope to hopefully have my biological family on the podcast. So that's just tremendous to me. But first, I
I
gotta learn
hope.
Creole. I gotta relearn Creole. So that's what I'm doing right now on Duolingo. Okay, so let's continue to talk about finding Aaron and finding yourself. So how did you and Aaron connect, and when did it feel real?
Oh man. So we connected. Again, I messaged him I think on my birthday or the day after my birthday or whatever the case may be. But right around my birthday, when I found out, is when I first messaged him. And our communication was slow at first. It
Mm-hmm.
was, it was texting here, texting there. I mean, our very first phone conversation was like long because he kind of just was like, "Hey, this is who I am. This was my experience." He told me his story, his upbringing. He told me about how he found out and things like that. So it was cool. But For the first few months, it was just kind of slow. We text every, now and again, maybe once a week, maybe twice. We didn't talk as much, but I think it felt the realest when we met for the first time.
Wow.
When we met for the first time was like I remember being nervous, but I was nervous because I had never met someone who looked so much like me ever. Because again, I was my dad's child and my mom's child, but my siblings were from a separate marriage. So my siblings don't look like me. And I had seen the pictures of Aaron. We had exchanged social media information, and it was the first time that I was gonna like see someone who looked so much like me for the first time face to face. And
Yeah.
so when we met, it was like, wow, okay, yeah, this dude kinda looks like me, and we just, like, hit it off.
Wow. That's insane. That's insane right there. It's just meeting your brother that you have. Oh my God, that's insane. About to think
Yeah.
about it that more. That's awesome. So, how did meeting your birth family affect your relationship with your adopted family? Because remember, like I mentioned earlier, you went to talk to the people, your roots. So now your root and your other roots are meeting. So,
Mhm.
like, how was that like?
So, my relationship with my mom and dad and the rest of my family has not changed at all. It's been great. I don't even think that I have felt torn between anybody,
Hmm.
but I'm also a person who has very strong boundaries.
Yeah.
And so I think if anything, my boundaries were a lot firmer with my biological family
Yeah.
than my family I was raised with. So it's just been like I'm not looking for a mom and dad. I already have them. I don't know y'all. Our biological parents are not that much older than us because they had us at a young age. So I'm like, let's try to establish a friendship and let's go from there. So it did, that's why I say, like, it hadn't impacted, like, my biological family. I mean, my chosen family, my adopted family. The connection between me and my biological family had not at all changed anything. Aaron and my mom are, like, besties. Like, she loves him, and so it and my partner Tony and Aaron have an amazing relationship. It's just been kind of more of an addition, almost like he's always been here, but just not.
That's awesome. Cause like I understand what you mean. Cause like it's like finding like the missing piece. And then when that missing piece comes back in, I felt like it was always supposed to be there. So it's like I understand that aspect. It's just like that's just awesome to me. Is
Yeah,
that how everybody
yeah, yeah,
accepted each other and got used to each other, and it's like it's
yeah.
just
And it wasn't, at least for Aaron and I can't speak for
yeah.
other relationships in the biological spaces, but for Aaron and I, it has just always felt kind of easy and
Mm,
organic and natural and not forced. It's just been really, really dope. And I think what's made it the easiest is that we both give the same amount.
yeah,
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not one-sided where someone is always the one who's initiating contact or initiating a visit or anything like that. It's literally like, oh, you came down last month, I'm gonna come up this month, or vice versa. So that's, I think that, and then it just continuously grows.
yeah. That's awesome. That's that's woo. So like I remember we talked before I started this. So he stays in Atlanta and you stay in I keep forgetting
Charleston,
North.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I keep saying that. Which one? Oh, I keep getting this when those states are like that. I was like, which one? But
Yep,
like,
yep.
wow, that's awesome right there. Because now you get to explore two different places. Now it doesn't only bring like family connections, but also brings location connection. Because now you have a family there and a family here, so now you get to see everything from both sides, and it's just like a really cool thing. Because now, because I have America now and I have the Caribbean now, it's awesome.
Right.
So that's a
Yeah.
really
And I
cool
don't
thing.
have to pay for a hotel when I go. I just
Exactly.
go sit with him.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's great having family across the world. So if anybody there's listening and you want to be part of our family and you live around the world, please let us know so we can go to stay at your house. Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
but that's awesome though. Okay, so let's move on to identity, trust, and belonging. How did you even begin to rebuild identity at 33 after finding all of this? So it like, because you got to start building from a new spot now. You got new family members, so now
Mhm.
there's a new identification right there.
So here's the thing, and this is where I say I'm glad that I didn't find out about my adoption until I was older.
Yeah.
I felt like I already had an identity. I knew who I
Mm,
was. I was in my career. I had
that's what I was
owned
talking
my
about right
home. I
there.
bought a car. I mean, I just felt like learning about the adoption, I didn't feel like, "Oh, you've lied to me. I don't know who I am." And I know that there are people who feel that way. And
Hmm.
I don't, not judging them, but I had already knew who I was,
Mm,
and the adoption didn't change that. What I will say the adoption did change for me was I had this script of my biography, right? Anybody could ask me, tell me about your upbringing, or tell me about yourself, or give me your 30-second elevator speech. And I had it, and I had it down packed, and it was concise, and it was spot on. And now when I say it, I either have to think to myself, do you give your original spiel?
hmm.
Do you give your new spiel?
Mm.
Or do you kind of blend it all because
Ooh.
it sounds
Okay.
weird? Like, think about it, the last of 7 is already like, "Wow, y'all you have 7 it's 7 of y'all and there's so many and you're the last." But then say, "No, I'm the oldest of 9." Well,
Ooh.
then that
Wow.
discounts my upbringing. But if I
That
say
is.
the youngest of 7, that discounts my now reality. So, but when you tell somebody I'm the middle of 14, then
Mm.
people are like, now people have questions. It's like, what? Wait, what? How many? And then it gets, so it's like, I always say, like, do I want a lot of questions or a little bit of questions?
It really depends on the day, huh?
Yeah.
Cause that's insane. Wow, that's a great perspective right there. Thank you. Cause like, wow. Cause now you're trying to like, cause now, because you did, like I mentioned earlier, like now you had this whole life before you found out, and now you have to like rewrite some scripts and
Yeah,
rewrite the
and
spiel.
that's really what it is, rewriting the script. So I'm trying to get in the habit of saying the middle of 14. Like, that's the thing that I'm trying to say. Like, to me, that's probably the thing that has changed the most outside of finding like a whole biological family, or especially a full-blooded brother, is I've always been able to say I'm the last of 7. And now that doesn't feel like the 100% truth, but neither does the oldest of 9. So what feels probably the most truthful statement is I'm the middle of 14.
Yeah,
And that's like the most truth, but
that
it's
is.
rewriting that script because it's
Yeah,
so easy to say, "Oh, how many siblings you have?" "Oh, I'm the last of 7," instead of the middle of 14. So I just kind of pause and say the middle of 14 now.
yeah. Cause me, when I say I'm the middle child, I'm the middle child for both families. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? I'm not
shit.
the, because I used to be the youngest in Haiti, but I'm not. That's no longer the case. And now over here, I'm the second oldest, so I'm now the middle child on both sides. Either way, so
Yeah.
I just say I'm the
So
middle
that's
child.
easy.
That's easy for me. I don't have to think about
Yeah.
the 7 or the 9. That is awesome right there. Okay, so like, did you feel like you're still? Do you feel like you're still in the middle of figuring that out, or did finding Aaron and your family just ground you?
I think that once you figure out everything, because like, there's always a feeling of like, is there more to come? Are there more siblings out there that we haven't found yet? Right.
Yeah,
So I think most of it is, I think it, it was me kind of sitting with, what do I feel is the most comfortable thing to talk about,
yeah,
and in what spaces, right? I'm not about to sit here at work and be like, y'all, I'm adopted. I just found out about my brother and this, that. I'm not going into the whole spiel at work, but I can just make an easy statement. I do think that building the relationship with Aaron and getting to know him more has made it a lot easier and more organic to say one of 14 or the middle of 14. That makes it easier. Because if I didn't have the closeness with him and then some of our other siblings, I probably would have been like, yeah, I'm the last of 7 still. Like, if it wasn't close, I'd be like, yeah, I ain't claiming all them people. I'm still the last of 7. But I definitely think the closeness has helped.
yeah. The closer does help. It makes it easier.
Oh
That is
yeah.
awesome because like That's what I always, me and my family always talk about. Like, when it makes sense to us, it makes sense to everybody else. When there's no
Right.
confusion in our words and the way we talk and carry ourselves, nobody else won't be confused about what we identify as. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely.
just, so people are going off based on what you're saying and how you feel comfortable of when you show it with your mind, body, and spirit. Because people are just great at just picking up those things subconsciously. You know. So like if I say I'm
Absolutely.
talking to my siblings, where's my sister? People automatically know I'm talking to my two white sisters, regardless.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
so, it's so natural because it's natural to me. They understand that I don't think of it like, it's not crazy to me. I'm not saying, oh, my adopted sister. I'm saying, oh, you see my sister? And then that's it. People go with it. I'm confident with my answer. I'm confident in a relationship. So people go off my confidence and they
But
don't question
so
it.
can I ask you a question then?
What's up?
Okay. So when you are either meeting new people, like, do you tell them that you're adopted? Like, kind of, is it kind of like your opener, like, hi, I'm Wilson and I'm adopted? Or does that come later? And if it comes later, do you ever like feel the need to tell people like, "Oh, my sisters are white"? Like, you know what I'm saying? If you say, "Oh, why don't you and your family come over and we'll all go bowling or whatever?" Do you ever be like, "So let me go ahead and let you know, like my mom, my dad, my siblings, they're all white." Or is that part of your like introduction of who you are and they just know that up front?
Well, honestly, that's awesome right there. Because usually, like I said, like I just say, like, actually, let's talk about a few examples of me going to restaurants, okay, with my family, and then they'd be like, if it's me and my dad, they'd be like, the check separate, like, no, we're together, like, and they try to think, what's our relationship? You know what I'm saying? And over here, we're very confident that this is like a father and son relationship. I call him dad at the table, and they'd be like, okay, that's his dad, and then after that, that's it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to
Right.
explain or anything. I just let the conversation explain itself. And like when I'm going to a new place with my whole family and they just see the winning black dude in the back of the group or like in the middle of the group talking loud, out loud as he can, they'll be like, okay. And then they see our relationship and they'll see the way we interact with each other, the way the love, the comfortability that we have with each other. Okay, okay, that's a brother right there. That's their family. That's a son right there. And they pick that up immediately. You know what I'm saying? So we do get a lot of
Right.
weird looks when people first meet us, and then when the energy comes out, okay, this is just a family. Then it's
Yeah.
just, it comes natural to other people, regardless if they've never experienced it or not. Okay, so this is what an actual adopted family is supposed to look like. 'Cause we don't go around
Right.
just telling people, I'm adopted. This is my adopted family. We just act like, we're just a family, and
Yeah,
there's
just
no
a
difference
family.
between, yeah, just a family. That's what it is. And then when we have that confidence and people see it, they go off what they see, and it's just very cool to see that people can just pick that up, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, that's dope. I love that.
Hmm. Okay, so like after all of that, finding out, getting comfortable with your family, like, and figuring out that you are in the middle of 14, what does family mean to you now?
So you know how there's that old, what do you call it? Old saying, like blood is thicker than water, right?
Mm,
I just disagree with it. I
yeah.
just think that family is family. Family is who you choose to be in relationship with, whoever that
Mm,
is. Because we all got those family members that we done had to cut off. They
yeah.
toxic,
Hmm.
they don't mean us well, or they don't respect boundaries. And so you have to halt that relationship. And while yes, there's still a genetic connection, it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you are in relationship with that person. So me, family is all about who you choose to be in relationship with. Because I have some people that I have this genetic connection with that sometimes it feels like they feel like they're entitled to a relationship because of the genetic connection. And
Yeah.
you're not entitled to that because we share DNA. You're entitled to get to know me and we can build a relationship based on that. But you don't get access to me or you don't automatically get to claim this family tie just because we have a genetic connection. So family is who you choose. Family is who you love, who you respect. The people, your family could be your best friends, right? Because so many of us have those relationship with friends that it will always surpass the relationship with our family because it's not the same, right? So I just think family is about who you choose and who
Mm.
chooses you.
And that's real. Yeah, of course, I can be a testament to that. So I'm just gonna leave it at that and just say I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, word for word. I have nothing else I can add to that. That is true. Y'all listen to him. Go back 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and repeat. And you listen to everything he just said because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. So we're about to enter into our final words right here. And we just have a few more things for you, Ronnie, and then we're good.
All right.
Okay, this one is for the people. This is you doing some fan service right here. So what would you
Okay.
say to someone who just found out they were adopted and they're 30 something?
Okay. I say you need to you have to figure out what it is that you are wanting and willing
Mhm.
to accept before reaching out to people, before confronting people, before diving nose deep into stuff. You got to figure out what is it that you are wanting and be okay with not getting what you want. So
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, before you can start the research, you got to take a second, you got to take a beat, maybe go to your therapist, maybe speak to your prayer circle, whatever. You may have to do some work before entering into this space because it's not as easy as some people make it look.
Mm,
And whatever it is that you want, you might not get, and you got to be okay with that.
mm, that's real. Because your brother said something earlier that was really, really, what's the word? Monumental. He said,
Yeah.
looking for your adoptive family is like playing hide and go seek when you don't know if anyone is playing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I know I that's my same reaction. Is like when that comes around and you're looking, I know clocky.
Clock it.
That is T right there. It's like you don't know, and you got to be okay. You know what I'm saying? You got to be okay
Yeah.
with that because not. I was born in that I was my situation is that both families want a relationship with me, and both family want a
Hmm.
relationship with each other, and they all want the best for me. And it's so I never
Yeah.
had to wonder about which what the other ones if they hate each other or the other one give me up because of malicious intent. So it's just like right now, just seeing every point of view is just a great thing to have in your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's just really cool to think about that and to just be okay with not finding what you want and to just keep move on. Because like,
Yeah.
if you can't find the people that that gave you up, remember they gave you up for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need to go chase
Absolutely.
that hot water right there. Just leave it alone. Okay, I promise you that water will
Yeah.
come back cool and welcoming if that was what it was meant to be. But that is just insane. That's just It's just wow. Okay, so this one following one, based off all of that, is like looking back, was the
Mhm.
DNA test a gift or a grenade?
Definitely a gift.
Mm,
Definitely a gift. Definitely a gift. I could not say that enough. I think that it has brought me and my parents closer. I've gotten 8 brothers and sisters out of the deal.
mm,
I've gotten a podcast out of the deal. I have a full-blooded sibling, which is something I never had. All growing up, all of my siblings were my mom's children, and then I came later. So I never had that full-blooded connection. And now, like, there are things that Aaron and I do or like or don't like that is weird to everybody else and weird it and not because, oh, we just started liking this or not liking this. Like literally, we both just don't like this certain thing, or we both do this certain thing. And it's like that's so wild how two people who, yes, have a genetic connection, never knew each other and have like the weirdest quirks or similarities that's just weird, different. So that, and again, like I said, my younger siblings, it has been such a gift. Way, way more benefits than cons.
wow, that's awesome right there. That's awesome. That is definitely a gift. But at the same time, I also look at it. It's a little bit of a grenade because now you get this explosion of other opportunity. But that's just the way I picture it. Is that you get a gift and it's something that just keeps exploding into something more, into
Oh,
more opportunities.
definitely. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to paint it to be this rose garden
yeah.
with with tulips and carnations. It has definitely had its challenges with creating relationships with people, having to establish and maintain boundaries with people, dealing with different people's personalities, and like really feeling like, yeah, I don't even know you though. And you know what? It's easy. Like I could never just cut my mom and dad off. Like I can't just like, oh, I'm not talking to y'all no more. And I ain't never gonna talk to y'all again. But it's easy for me to do that with the biological family because it's like, I don't know y'all. We don't have that relationship. So yeah, it's definitely we've had our challenges, and I know that we're gonna do another episode. So we've
Yeah,
had the challenges.
that's also okay. So that's oh wow, that's awesome. So now we're gonna talk about that in a second, but wow, that's just amazing. So this last one, Twain, right here. This is the last question, and then we can close out.
Okay,
What's
go ahead.
one thing adoption taught you after 30 that you wish you learned at 13?
You know, adoption is one of those things that is not talked about
Mm,
and that is not normalized, but is
mm,
so normal and it happens all of the
all the
time,
time.
literally. And like literally, my nephew, who, like I said, when my sister passed away and I was 5 and my nephew was 6, he came and lived with us. And while there was no legal adoption, he still has his father's last name. He has only lived with my parents and I from the time he was 6 until he graduated from high school. That is a form of adoption,
That
and it's
is.
just never been talked about,
Just,
right?
mm,
And I
and
just wish that at 13 we normalize the conversation around adoption. Even in this space right now, I literally have, when we're like finding guests for our podcast, literally it's something to happen or I'll have a conversation with somebody and I'm like, oh my gosh, that person has adopted this child or is adopted themselves. And because there's no legal documentation, we don't consider it adoption. We just think, oh, that person's just raising their little cousin, or that person is
yes,
took in a child that didn't have nowhere to go. But that's all adoption.
that is
And
all
I think,
adoption.
yeah, and we just need to normalize it because it's not something that is that has to be this negative or this secret thing. It can be
Yeah.
this beautiful thing that just says like you chose to love someone who maybe wasn't genetically connected to you and you did right by them. And they love you and you love them and that's really all that matters. So I
Mm,
wish it was just a normal conversation instead of this secrecy or this sneaky
yeah.
deceptive thing. Like, I wish it was just more normal.
Yeah, because it is very normal, and that's why we have both our podcasts, the Fire Pit Conversations, and we have the adoptologies to make that conversation normal. And then it's gonna take some time, but the job will be done. It will, like, if we get at least convince one person that this is a very normal thing, that person will tell somebody else, and they'll tell somebody else, they'll tell somebody else, and that conversation will happen. So this is like we're on the track of solving that problem. Like it's not gonna stay like that for long. We're gonna start somewhere. Who knows? It might not be in our in our time that it comes to be like a very open thing to talk about, but we're working on it right now. We're changing
Yes, we
right now.
are.
We're not sitting
Yes, we
idly
are.
by and ready. So we're doing our part. So kudos to us. But yeah,
Right.
so yeah,
Absolutely.
with all that being said, we're gonna wrap up here, guys. That was awesome, and I hope anybody is just like really taking this podcast and Aaron and Ronnie's story and really taking it to heart. If you know anybody who's in, or it's yourself who's been in that situation, please share this with them and bring community and build a community around that, because it will heal you in ways you didn't even know you were meant to be healed. And with that all being said, Ronnie, would you like to say anything to close out and say bye?
Oh man, first of all, Wilson, thank you so much for inviting my brother to the space. We have so enjoyed talking to you over the last few weeks.
Hmm.
Excited to see what happens for both of us next. I also want to say, anybody out there, take a chance, listen at our podcast. It is Fire Pit Conversations. You can find us
Hmm.
on Spotify, on Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, and anywhere on your major podcast platforms. Also follow us on Instagram at Fire Pit Conversations and or at TikTok at firepit_conversations. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. With all that being said, goodbye, y'all. Well, lunch, close out.